I don't know about you guys, but I feel like this thing is flying by. Almost done with this book. So the next book we're moving on to is what? Gap in the Game? Is that what you said?
That's what I want to do. Now, I mean, I've got some, I'm all about this motivation and personal development books and stuff, but I got a whole library full of them. But I think Gap in the Game came out in October, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's one that's the hottest buzz right now for what's going on. It also has some tech stuff in it that is applicable to today. So we should probably hit that one next. It looks like this. If y'all don't have it,
I gotta go pick it up.
Tarek is going to dive in and get all the workbooks and stuff for it. I'm sure it has stuff like that in it. But I mean, it talks about like the compound effect. I think what this thing does is it takes a lot of other really good books like Darren Hardy's The Compound Effect and stuff like that. And it kind of takes a little bit from each one of them. I haven't read it yet. I've just heard John Kitchens talk about it. I think it takes a little bit from those books and puts it in here.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. By the end of the year, we would have read probably 12, 13 books, which is great.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great goal for me because I'll read half a book or 5 pages or something, put it down, and then I'll go to another one. I'm terrible at it.
Right.
I'm the same way.
This is making me do it though. And I've listened to this book. One reason that I get confused of where we are, I've probably listened to it on the audio version probably 6 or 8 times already. Yeah. So I get confused with where we actually are in the book. So I blur things together. But that's why I said I don't know if today's notes will have anything to do with what we're reading or not. But I got notes.
No, that's fine. We want the contribution. But let's dive into the checklist. So we were on week 3. Did you guys do the items from the checklist?
What's the lesson number?
Lesson 7.
Okay.
Right. So on lesson 7, the first thing that it says is to create a temptation bundle by linking an action you want to do with an action you need to do. And then it shows you the formula. I could actually share my screen.
Here you go.
Yeah.
Did it pop up?
Yep, I got it.
Okay. We're learning, man. We're learning how to do this.
Smooth. All right, you see it?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So see here, it says temptation bundling works by linking an action you want to do with an action you need to do. You're more likely to find the behavior attractive if you get to do one of your favorite things at the same time. One of my favorite things to do every morning is have coffee. I gotta have my coffee. That wakes me up. So mine is I will only have coffee when I have read 10 pages. So that's how you link it to something that you already love doing, right? But the way that I structured this is that I felt like I had to make sure that this hit on the 5 things that were basic needs for me, right? Or the 5 areas that were basic needs. So I have spiritual needs, I have mental needs, physical needs, family needs, business needs that I need to hit on. So that's how I structured these goals, right? So like one of my other ones is I will only have lunch, like we spoke about. I will only have lunch when I've contacted 4 people, right? So that's how I'm going to tie all of them in, right? So what did you guys come up with in regards to your temptation bundling?
So one of mine is after I make a certain number of calls, that's when I'm allowed to get up out of this chair.
Yeah.
And I have to do that by 10:30. I have to make my calls by 10:30. Another one that I have tied into that is after I make the call, right? So I have a third line basically. After I make the call, I send them a text message that I made the call. Because a lot of people don't even listen to their voicemails anymore. They just go through it and delete them all, clear them out and go again. They just read their text messages. So I will make a call, leave a message. If I don't get them, make a call, leave a message, and then send a text message. Once I've done all that, before 10:30, I can get up.
Awesome. I love that.
And I only have a short window to do it because, as you guys know, we're on calls every morning until like 10 o'clock almost. So I gotta snap on it once I do it.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I'll go next. Happy Friday, everyone. I had that I will only work out after I make my calls because I enjoy working out.
Yeah.
And I know most people do it first thing in the morning, but that's not my agenda. But I have to make my calls and then I can reward myself by going to work out.
Awesome. That's a good one, Cynthia. Anybody else? No? Okay. So the next thing that it talked about was creating a commitment device to lock yourself into future actions. So last week, one of the things that I know, Cynthia, you talked about shopping, like you deleted the app store. So the commitment device is a way to like lock yourself into not doing something that is bad for you, essentially. So like for me, it was the app store. Like I disabled the app store, and then my wife has the passcode to unlock it, so that if I ever need to download an app, I have to go to her to download the app. But what are some commitment devices that you guys use or are going to use in the future?
Terry,
Mine is much
can you send a link to
smaller.
that person? Can you send a link to get onto the Zoom right now to that person, Terry? They're trying to get in. I don't know who it is.
Let me see.
I just put in the chat her
Okay,
email.
I see it. I see it. Go ahead, Bobby.
Thanks, man. Sorry.
Mine's a lot smaller. I would take the batteries out of the TV remote just to make it a little harder before I sit down and watch TV.
I like that. That's good. I might need to use that one. Seriously. That's awesome.
It does help because it is irritating. You end up losing some of the batteries. I think my couch eats batteries.
Well, I know my dog, Peggy Sue, ate a remote one time. I found the remote, didn't find the batteries or the back of it. Found it out in my yard.
At least it wasn't in her stomach.
Lord.
I mean, it went through her. I found it all. It went through her.
Wow.
Maybe you have a designated spot that you put the batteries, like a little jar over the fireplace or something that you know this is my battery spot, so you don't lose them. But that's awesome. I love that. Anybody else? Sorry, I'm sending this link to this person. All right, so I wanted to read a passage out of this book that I thought was really important. So since we're like basically developing the structure on how to write our habits down and keep them front and center and how to structure them, I wanted to talk about what it said where hold on, how to recover quickly when your habits break down. Right, this is on page 200 for reference if you guys ever want to jump back or jump up and look at this one. No matter how consistent you are with your habits, it is inevitable that life will interrupt you at some point. Perfection is not possible. Before long, an emergency will pop up, you get sick, or you have to travel for work, or your family needs a little more of your time. Whenever this happens to me, I try to remind myself of a simple rule: never miss twice. If I miss one day, I try to get back into it as quickly as possible. Missing one workout happens, but I'm not going to miss 2 in a row. Maybe I'll eat an entire pizza, but I'll follow it up with a healthy meal. I can't be perfect, but I can avoid a second lapse. As soon as one streak ends, I get started on the next one. The first mistake is never the one that ruins you. It is the spiral of repeated mistakes that follows. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the start of a new habit. This is a distinguishing feature between winners and losers. Anyone can have a bad performance, a bad workout, or a bad day at work. But when successful people fail, they rebound quickly. The breaking of a habit doesn't matter if the reclaiming of it is fast.
Everybody gets knocked down. You got to get up.
What y'all think about that one?
Can I get an amen on a Friday morning?
Hallelujah.
Amen.
I mean, that's reassuring to hear from me, because it's like we were talking a little bit about being rigid yesterday, right? And that's how I've been for the majority of my life. Like the second that I make a mistake or don't do something, like I feel like I failed, right? But it's not failure if you get back up and keep doing the habit that you set out to do, right? So
I think all of this has to do with, it's something we were talking about the other day. The term is, and I put it on my board, obedience over time. Obedience over time. So you can fall down, get back up. You can make mistakes. I mean, we're not saving lives here, right? That's in our own life. I mean, somebody might be, we're not. But obedience over time is the long game. It's the long game. It made me think about some things when I was going through this and listening to it. So I started making down some notes. It's long-term plays is what we're looking for. And when we're, in this book, it was talking about identity and finding out the identity that you want to be. Who do you want to become? So start serving what you want to become, right? So I just started making notes, man. I made notes like crazy. But some things, they just hit me. You guys remember, I do everything on these little frameworks, just like writing that down, obedience, line, over time, right? So I do these little frameworks. And we were talking the other day about balance and getting out of balance and getting back in balance and working on it. So I started making these notes. And you guys remember at my office, I have this framework that says how to evaluate anything, any opportunity. And basically, its terms has got to be less than ROI plus future value plus lifestyle plus personal development. Do y'all remember that on the board? I don't know if y'all remember that or not, that you went there. So I always keep it on the board. So when I'm going through this book, I'm thinking about personal development and what this is actually doing. And we were talking about balance, and this is going to be a little bit off, but I wanted to share some of it. When you talk about who you want to be, your identity, and who you want to become in the future, that's what this whole book is about, right? Making small changes about who you want to become. Or at least that's what I'm thinking it is. You never do anything just for the ROI. These are my sloppy notes. Life is not a balance sheet. Things are going to fall apart. Things are going to happen. Life is about relationships and connections. Think about a marriage, not in balance. If you try to keep a scorecard on your wife, let me know how that works out. You can't keep a balance sheet and a scorecard on your wife to keep equate things out and with your spouse, and you create tension when you do that. I also put on here, when hiring people, all of us have to hire people, right? We all have to bring people into our organizations, and we all have to do certain things. When hiring people, think about the future value that hire. Never hire for immediate needs. So we're talking about who we want to become, right? We also got to think about who the people we surround ourselves with want to become with us, right? Not just to have an immediate knee-jerk reaction for today to do it. Don't date someone just because they're there. Go out with long-term people. Don't hang with short-term friends just because you currently need a shoulder to lean on. Those become complainers, and we want complainers out of our life. I'm almost done. I don't know if this has any effect for anybody, but one of the things we were talking about the other day about declarations. So one of the declarations that I used to do a long time ago was my future matters, so that I have to be strategic. Production comes when I look beyond short term and toward the future value. Future value of everything I do today has to pay me something in the future, right? So when I read this book, I feel like that's what James Clear is saying, is everything you have to do is in these little increments to get to where you want to be and who you want to be. And I'm done because I stole the whole show. Sorry, Terry.
No, man, we want that. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. It just speaks back to the fact that he's constantly telling you in this book, it's votes. Every day it's a vote that you take, right? Like, are you going to vote towards the person who you're trying to become, or are you going to take a vote away from who you're trying to become? But
and we also have to think about the votes of the people around us.
Yeah.
Right? It made me think about who are we putting on this bus, and are they going to get off on 2 stops? Are they going to make it through the whole turnpike with us? Right? So I just want to throw that in with it.
No, that's awesome. All right. So then it went on to the implementation intention, right? So this is more so like putting a specific time and place on your goal, right? So right here I put, I will spend time with my family, meeting that need, right? At 6:30 every day in my home. Why is this a goal for me? Because when I get caught up in my work, I'll just go, right? I'll lose track of time. Before you know it, I'm sitting here in a dark office. My kids are going to bed, right? So I need to make sure that I'm intentional, that I shut things down. Whatever's not finished will, unless it's something that is extremely urgent, right? Shut it down, and then the next day pick up on whatever it is that, I wasn't able to finish that day. Did you guys do this by any chance or no?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you want to share it, Cynthia?
I'm kind of plagiarizing because I did that exact thing last night. I was in my office almost 11 o'clock, and that's not normally me. It's just the type of day I had, and I said, this is absolutely horrible. So I decided that not only will I spend time with Michael and my family, that I'm cutting it off no later than 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock is the cap. Whatever didn't occur will just have to occur the next day. That's enough. That's what I decided.
No, I love that. And the other thing that I loved about what you said earlier, because it speaks about the external reward in here too. And you said that you will, you'll work out. What did you say? You'll work out after
I make my calls.
After you make your calls, right? So for me, That's a big one too, because I love when I'm sitting here at this desk, I feel like I'm confined, right? Like I'm the type of person who likes to be out. I like to be showing properties or going on listing appointments or whatever. But being here, sometimes like if I'm here for too long, I just feel drained. So I want to get out of here. I love hiking. I love going to the gym. I love going to the boxing gym. So, like you said, my reward for making my calls is being able to, and like Daniel said earlier in the call, I can get up from this chair and leave this office. Otherwise, I'm not leaving this office until I've done at least the bare minimum of what I'm supposed to do, which is finding my form and calling 2 agents and 2 prospects.
Remember, burnout comes for everybody. Burnout comes from not seeing an end in sight. So everything that we do to avoid burnout should have a start and an end. A start and an end. And you have rules for yourself. You sleep in the bedroom. You don't sleep on your couch. You eat in the kitchen or the at the table. Don't eat in the living room. Once you start merging those things together, there's no definite purpose for any of them. And when you don't have a start and an end, I don't know what that was. When you don't have a start and an end, it starts to blur things. You start to get anxieties and you start to get burnout from it. Like sitting in there at 11 o'clock last night, that's a long time to be sitting at a desk. And moving home is the first time I've ever had like cabin fever in my office, because my office is so much smaller. There's still stuff in here sitting everywhere. It's not neat like I like it because there's nowhere to put this stuff. And I got to, just go through and get rid of a lot of these boxes full of stuff. I was looking, he talked about the paperclip thing. We haven't gotten to it yet. But Francis will know that I went and bought these little things, these little golden chip things from, I don't know, Hobby Lobby or something, in these little bitty jars. And I literally at my office would make my calls to LinkedIn and stuff. And I would put them from one to the other. But I had like 6 of them. So if I didn't want to do LinkedIn calls that day or do Vulcan 7 calls that day or whatever, I'd pick the jar that I want to do. And then I would take it and put it and move it to the other jar that was the end of the day, and then could get up once that was completed. But I was going to try to find those earlier to show you guys once we start talking about the paperclip technique, but I can't find them because everything is causing anxiety in my office because it's all a mess. Yeah. So I have cabin fever for the first time. I want to go outside, and I never had that before.
Yeah. There's something about that visual though. Like it makes you feel like you're accomplishing. Well, you are accomplishing something, but the visual of seeing like you moving the paperclip and filling the other.
It's momentum. Remember, momentum means movement. It's movement towards something that you want.
Yeah. So how do we frame our goals so that there is a start and a finish? Because the goal here is not to become overwhelmed with all of this, right? Make it as simple as possible to start out with, and then continue to grow on each thing that we set out to do. So for me, like my calls, for instance, I know that my end date is Friday. I have Monday through Friday to make my calls, right? And on the weekend, I can, go show property or spend time with family, whatever. But those are my confines. What about you guys? Like, what are some things that we can do to make it not as strenuous and not as much of make it feel like a burden on us? You see what I'm saying?
What I do, I work, I have breaks throughout the day, but because my goal is to do a certain amount of calls and get a certain amount of things accomplished, I reward myself on Friday by working half a day. So I'll do, of course, I take breaks, but I'll start at 9 and end around 9. But on Friday, I want to be finished by at least 3 o'clock.
That's great. So what you have is a schedule.
Yes, that's exactly what it's called.
No, I'm saying that because, I know what it's like for so long not to be operating off of a schedule. Because when you're doing this business, it's so easy to just do whatever flies at you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're a fireman. You become a firefighter, and there really are no fires in real estate. Once you kind of grasp that concept, then you stop being a fireman. But one thing I do is 50-minute increments. If I'm calling or dialing out, 50 minutes. Then I get up, walk around, whatever, come back, sit down, 50 minutes. And I have it on my phone to not chime at me, but tell me on my calendar every 50 minutes. So because I'll get called up and go have a conversation and it'll go, I might go over about 20 or 30 minutes. That's okay. Or like we were talking about yesterday, I think it was, I don't want to play catch up. I don't like catch up. That creates anxiety for me. So if I give myself the safety valve and say, if I don't make my certain amount of calls at a certain amount of time, then I'll make up on it for Saturday morning or something. I don't want to do that. So I just go flake day. I just say flake hour, and I'll just flake it out and say, all right, I forgive myself. Let's go. What's next?
Mhm.
I don't want to be like, well, now I got to catch up. I don't like the catch up idea, but that's just my personality because it becomes like you said, it becomes a burden in my mind that, man, I didn't get I got to call this person, got to do that. It's like paperwork for me. Paperwork to me is a straight up burden. And maybe it's a mindset or something that I
Yes.
need to change,
I hate it.
but I just can't stand it. And I will actually, my wife goes, why do you let something go 3 or 4 days and you worry about it for 3 or 4 days? You just know you need to go do it. Just go do it. Take you 5 minutes. And I'm like, I just can't push myself to do it.
Yeah, I feel you on that, man.
Then I'll turn in 5 contracts, 6 weeks late, closing in 3 days.
Yeah, but you know what? I feel like the second that I put a transaction coordinator in place, that changed everything. Like the stress was just, you know what I'm saying? But now, like, I don't even want to write offers.
It's a slippery slope.
I'm
They
like,
need to
man,
figure out how to write the offer just in an email. I want to say
Yeah.
this. Here's the 10 topics. Send it to me, and I'll do the rest or whatever. Maybe
Yeah.
you can. I mean, there's always an answer, right?
Yeah.
That's why we're business
I'm
partners.
like-
There's always an answer.
Like you were saying, I get stressed out sitting at the desk a lot. So I will pick something, one of my must do's, and then I will reward myself by going outside and taking a walk
That's great.
just to get out of the house.
And then you feel refreshed when you get back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the goal.
And when you were talking about like us getting back on track, life happens. I know a lot of trainers will tell their clients, do not have a cheat day, have a cheat meal.
Mm.
If you mess up the entire day, it's so much harder to get back on track. Just have a cheat meal. So it's a section in the book I read about the Vietnam veterans and how they were addicted to drugs. But when they came home, it like the numbers went way down because they changed their environment. So when I went away last week, I fell off the wagon, and I fell off the wagon hard. I wasn't in my environment, and you're at the mercy of what the hotel serves as far as what you can eat. So I really can relate to the environment part because I lost it. I just did horrible. So once I got back home, I can control my environment. I got my apples, my oranges, my bananas, my healthy food, and I can get back on track. And I do agree, do not wait more than a day. It is so much harder. We've talked about this, Daniel, to get back on track, to just stay on track.
Harder to get up. You stay up. It's easier to stay up than it is to get up.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
All right. So before we get out of here, I wanted to touch on the habit contract. This will be part of our homework for next week, along with week 4. So I would like us all to fill out a habit contract and then have someone who can hold us accountable. So just to give you a brief overview of what it's about, you can look here. And this was Brian. They talk about Brian in the book, and they give a little bit of his story, but you can see he broke his down into quarters, right? So we're still in quarter 1, so this is perfect for right now. Brian's number 1 objective for quarter 1 of 2017 is to start eating correctly again, so he feels better, looks better, and is able to hit his big, hairy, audacious goal of 200 at 10% body
That's
fat.
200 pounds.
Yeah, 200 pounds. Brian wants to work towards his big, hairy, audacious goal in 2 phases. Phase number 1, get back to a strict low-carb diet in quarter 1. Phase 2, start strict macro tracking program in quarter 2. Okay? So we're basically going to break our own goals down this way and find someone in the group, or you could send it to me, or you could send it to Daniel, whoever, it doesn't matter. As long as they're going to hold you accountable. That's you want to pick someone who is actually going to hold you accountable to it, right? So then it goes into the details, right? Like write down all food that this is what he's going to do. Write down all food that he consumes each day and weigh himself each day. The food log must be completed by 6 a.m. of the day after. The weighing can happen at any point during the day. If Brian doesn't do these 2 items, here are the consequences. He will have to dress up each workday and each Sunday morning for the rest of the quarter. Dress up is defined as not wearing jeans, t-shirt, hoodies, or shorts. To hold Brian accountable, he will report to the following. And this is his accountability. I believe Stacy is his wife. He will text Stacy a picture of his weight each day and ask Joey to monitor his eating logs. He will also give Joey $200 to use as he sees fits if he misses one day of logging the food. Like, I love how detailed this is.
Man, if you don't, it's a dream if it's not detailed. It's a goal if it's got details.
Yeah, he broke this thing down to a science. And then he signs off on it. And he gives it to his accountability partner and his wife.
What do you guys think about this? Chime in and let me know. 1 personal goal, 1 business goal.
Mm-hmm.
So like every day, a lot of the calls that I get on, I say, what's your one thing to do you're going to do the day before 12 o'clock business, and what's one person you're going to do the day before 12 o'clock? So if you guys want to, I say we do a business and a personal.
Yeah.
And we categorize it out like that. And I don't know how you would track this. I don't know how you track it. If you're using the Streak app, you can share that with each other. If you're using like a food tracker that I use is My Fitness Pal, I can share that, I think, with people. But I don't know how everybody uses different things.
There's this one too. I believe you gave us this.
Yeah, I gave you that.
Right. So if you're using one of these and let's say it's making calls, you can put the hashes on there and then just take a picture of it and send it to your accountability partner every day if you want to do that.
But I think we should all pick 1 personal, or that's what I want to do is 1 personal and 1 business goal. And then let's start, like we talked about the other day, let's start with a little habit. Atomic, microscopic.
That sounds good. So yeah, I want to get this one in because next week is our last week. So
On this book.
Yeah, on this book. So to cap it off, I want to make sure that we have something set in stone. I know we've all been working on our goals or whatever, but I want to make sure we cap it off with something that is legitimate, So I think this could be great for us. So what do you guys think so far about the book club? Should we take a break after this, or you guys want to keep on rolling? What are your thoughts?
Obedience over time, man. If you stop something, you stop something.
I agree.
Yeah, I think if we stop, then we'll have the struggle of restarting everything.
And
it'll kill momentum.
And we're recording these things. So, like, 2 people just sent me a text apologizing they couldn't get on this. But they're spending time with their grandkids. I mean, the grandkids are more important than this. So, she's at a wrestling tournament or something that said, so, it's recorded. So you can catch back up. You're obviously not going to get the same gain out of it if you're watching it on a recording, because we edit that recording out. Some of the stupid things that I say, we take out. So, you're going to miss some of it, but, there's a reason they're recorded so that you go to my YouTube and you can see them play them back there. But, I think we should keep going. We should knock out the next week, and, then we'll start with, the gap in the game.
Sounds good.
No matter what, man, this is good. If we're going to read 12, 13, 14 books this year, I mean, that right there's an achievement for me, because I don't read like that.
Yeah. But, the other piece of it that I love too is it's not just the reading. Like the workbook, I feel like is essential to it too, because it's forcing us to take action, So.
Yeah, and I think next week, Tarek, we might need to add a week to this. I don't know. But there's all the points, right? Like there's all the points from every single lesson and a summary. So we should have a summary week, I think, too. Like in here, there's a summary week of all the what are they called? The like the laws, right? There's a summary of every law and how you stack the laws together and go from one to the next, and the next, and the next, and create basically a streak. Like the laws, make it obvious. Go ahead.
A recap of the
Yes,
book.
I think maybe instead of jumping into the other one, another thing, the more people that we get to put eyeballs on this and have more accountability with, and people that add and contribute to it, the better this is going to be, right? And remember, another thing that we're doing on this is we're trying to get more comfortable with ourselves on camera, listening to ourselves, because that in turn helps our business. because we're not as scared to send a little, welcome video or a introduction video or anything like that. So, but I think we should go through how to create a good habit, and the summary of it, and all the laws. Like make it satisfying, make it easy, make it attractive, make it invisible, that kind of stuff. So,
Okay, cool. Looking forward to it. So we'll jump into week 4 for next week. Hopefully everybody will have their contracts filled out, and then we'll do a recap week after that. All right.
Everybody want to throw you have everybody's email addresses already, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why don't we do a randomizer, 1-to-1 randomizer accountability? Like go onto the computer, how do they do this randomizer things? Throw the names in there, randomize the accountability partner. That way it's like picking it from a hat. We don't know who it's going to be.
Okay. But so we need to pledge from the accountability partner too that they're going to actually hold the person accountable.
Yeah, they got to commit.
Yeah. So the last thing that I wanted to touch on, sorry guys.
What if we started Realtors Between the Covers Facebook page as a private group Facebook page, and we made like maybe 5 admins, and then we could log in and we could post all of our stuff there. That way everybody sees it.
Yeah, that'd be good too.
I remember as a kid, I had a pen pal, man. He was sick for 2 weeks, and I didn't get any letters from him, and I was so sad. So if somebody can't get to your accountability, somebody else could jump on it and say, hey, Tarek, did you get this done? Did you do this? Right? So it's like a kind of a group deal. I mean, we're not putting secrets out there. So, we could do a group Facebook page, private group, and invite people to it. Also, maybe that'll help with I got a couple text messages, Eric said he couldn't get on again. So maybe we could post the link in that, and then people can get on just in the Facebook link. And that's something else that we've addressed in our Honey Badgers group, because certain people weren't able to get on to certain private links. So, and if you miss something, maybe we can post a replay link there. It creates more work for us. But if this thing, when this thing gets a little bit better, it'll make it all better, right? It'll be worth it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Y'all have a great day.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you.